Gavin Newsom is touting a 9% drop in unsheltered homelessness while rolling out another $419 million in state homelessness grants focused on the Bay Area, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Now, if you're a critic of this, you will note that the billions and billions and billions of dollars spent by California on homelessness doesn't appear to be working. And I'd say you're right. Let's get into it. Here we go. Let's watch a couple of videos and see if this appears that, homelessness is really getting under control here. Because I've got stories 10 ways from Sunday on how things are not under control. But hey, 9% reduction in unsheltered homelessness. And all that means is people are now maybe in shelters. We don't really know. It's just, those figures dropped by 9%. Therefore, this is getting better. Let's spend billions more. Spend billions more, and we'll see how it goes.
Now at 5:30, beds, a fan, even a TV. A set of massive and elaborate homeless structures under the 10 freeway are going viral. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Micah Ullman. The makeshift homes are built using highly flammable materials, including cardboard and plastic.
Neighboring business owners say they are concerned a destructive fire could break out inside, similar to the massive inferno under the 10 freeway just 2 years ago. Alina Bovian is live in downtown LA with details and reaction. Alina.
Hi, Mike and Cher. That's right. This homeless encampment essentially takes up the entire block, and the people living inside it, well, they say they have no choice and nowhere else to go.
It has water, it has electricity for right now, but for the most part, we're homeless. We're looking for help. We're seeking aid.
While they wait for a spot at a shelter, this
they always say they're looking for aid, they're looking for housing, and then when it's given to them, they decide, not today. Not today. We're just going to stay here. This is what we're going to do.
man says this is the next best thing. A makeshift shelter under the 10 freeway at 17th Street in downtown LA. Taking a peek inside, there's 2 beds, a TV, and furniture, all held together with tarps, wood, and rope.
I don't like these lyrics, but this is what we're dealt with.
Why not go to a shelter?
Well, shelters are full right now. People check in for...
Are they, though? Or you just like the freedom of living on the sidewalk underneath the bridge, an overpass? Probably, right? Probably. Not saying definitively, but, you got people gaming the system. You got people taking advantage of the system every single day and doing a ton of drugs. You don't live in these encampments unless you're doing something squirrely or there's a reason you're there.
And to keep warm, they use a metal pot to start a small fire.
Mm-hmm. We'll take and put some wood and some hand sanitizer and start a small fire to keep ourselves warm.
Wood and hand sanitizer in a pot inside of a nylon structure with plenty of flammable material nearby. And that's why when those fires hit these encampments, they just, boom, they're gone. Because you've got an accelerant, the hand sanitizer, and you've already got material like the blue tarp in the background that will just absolutely go up in flames, literally. And you see this so often. And then what you'll see, specifically here in Seattle and other homeless encampments, but I've seen it personally, where you've got tent, and then just absolute blackout structure for like 4 or 5 tents. And and the only thing that you'll see is the fiberglass support poles still in place, still doing their thing. But the nylon part has been just absolutely destroyed. And, it's because those fires, they've got so much material. There's so much garbage. There's so much, and they just, boom, gone. And so much of a percentage of the fire department, their calls are due to the homeless because they're trying to cook stuff, they're trying to keep warm, and they've got a lot of flammable material, and they're in a flammable tent.
And it works for the most part, but it can, if not contained, it can be out of control. These here, they catch fire so fast.
It happened in 2023, just 2 miles away from this encampment. The 10 freeway caught fire, halting the commute for nearly 300,000 drivers. Business owners nearby are afraid it's going to happen again.
It looks like a hotel. The biggest thing now is, okay, so we don't want a fire like 2 years ago happens, because 2 days ago when it was raining, I don't know what they were doing inside. The only thing you can see the smoke coming out.
And next door, a more elaborate setup constructed mostly with these industrial-sized paper spools, also highly flammable. Dubbed on social media as the mansion.
So we don't want fires. But I think your concern should be housing them and take them out of that misery. They don't want to be there.
City service.
No, they do.
Come by, they say, but this encampment is still here, and so are the people who need the help.
The support around us they don't really want us here.
Does that homeless encampment situation look squared away to you? Commercial carpet spools acting as, roof joist reinforcements on a tarp, on a blue tarp encampment. Let's go to another one here. This is, I think this one's from like 3 months ago.
Good morning. And part of the challenge is making sure these areas remain clear. You can see some of the deterrents, rocks, and fencing that's been brought in to keep the unhoused from setting up again after this area was cleared. And I just spoke to a resident who lives across the street. He says there have been multiple fires. The noise would keep him up throughout the night. So you can imagine his relief when he came out to see that this has all been cleaned up. But he worries it's only a matter of time before it comes back. Take a look. Skyfox was overhead the operation Tuesday afternoon. The state's new Safe Task Force, short for State Action for Facilitation on Encampments, took on its first.
I need to get down to LA because some of these encampments are way beyond anything I've seen in Portland or Seattle. These are next level. I need to get down there, not go to the beach, not go to Huntington Beach, go to the encampments in South Central. Is it South Central or just South LA? Yeah. Near the 10, right? Because they all seem to be underneath major freeways or adjacent too.
Cleanup here in Southern California between 87th and 88th Streets on Grand Avenue next to the 110 freeway.
Wow.
The area unsafe with tents, trash, and hazardous debris just steps away from home.
Look at this dude. He is whacking with a piece of wood, a piece of, I'm assuming that's some kind of foam or some kind of material, because it's nailed on to his, what is that, a 12-foot long 2x6, 2x10? It's hard to tell from the scale here, but it's a big piece of timber. And see how they've got this guy's, he's cutting things down so that he can make his operation mobile. He's going to take out this piece here as well, and he'll probably take out this piece. Like he's got a big old pile of mattresses. I bet those are pleasant. Got more mattresses over here. You've just got a whole bunch of nonsense, wood, crap. You got some big cables over here. You got a chair, on its back. I mean, just take the D8 and sweep this, and that's literally what's going to happen after this guy moves a couple of these big pieces of wood. Now, how's he going to move them? Well, he's going to get a shopping cart and use that to move him on down the road to his next destination, wherever that might be. So the homeless encampment gets cleared, but it's literally just whack-a-mole because so many of these people are not going into shelter.
And traffic, state and local teams were on hand offering housing services. Officials say 15 people immediately accepted shelter. 32 of the unhoused agreed to receive services offered by the city's Inside Safe program. And officials say the goal here is to keep them off the streets and eventually get them into permanent housing.
Wow.
The state business consumer services and housing is also out here. We have Cal OES, the Office of Emergency Services. So it really is a very collaborative, coordinated effort to help address this encampment. And there will be other ones that we address as we move further down the street. We're going to continue to clear this area throughout the week.
Now, that task force plans to deploy crews to encampments across California's biggest cities, including San Francisco, Oakland, San Diego, and right here in Los Angeles. But the work is far from over. Back out here live. Just look at this. A small encampment remains just one block over from the first cleanup operation. One of the unhoused there says she's been in that spot for 2 years and is willing to accept services. And as you heard, officials with Caltrans say that cleanup operation will continue with services being offered to those people here just down the street. For now, that's the latest here in South LA. I'm Mario Ramirez. We'll send it back.
Governor Gavin Newsom announced the state will award $419 million, big ones, to San Fran, LA, San Diego. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie says the city spends about $1 billion on homelessness. So there's $1.5 billion. I mean, who knows how much San Fran's getting? Just the numbers to me are incredible. They're incredibly expensive. I mean, it's insanity. It is not. And the crazy part is that people on the left who still go down, who still stand by this housing first thing, all they say is, we just need more housing. If we had more housing, we could solve the problem. Now, you're never going to build enough housing for all these folks because you have built it and they have come and now you are dealing with it. You're literally dealing with the impact that decision-making has created, which means if people know that they can come to your community and get housing, live in a tent, do drugs, steal from the community, soft on crime laws, and just do their own thing, guess what? They're gonna hunker down. Whenever an encampment gets swept, they're gonna be right back. They're gonna move down the block, a couple of blocks, because that's the mentality. It's whack-a-mole. You might get a few people inside. These people are all whacked out of their minds on drugs, right? They're just, they're out there. Newsom announced the state will award $419. Here's a breakdown of how the money will be awarded. San Fran, $39.9 million for 2 shelters, 3 navigation centers, serving more than 600 adults and 75 youth nightly. I mean, it's so expensive because California has, or Los Angeles has, I think, 45,000 unsheltered people. 45,000 living outside, living under bridges, living in shelter. It's absolute insanity. LA County, cities of Los Angeles, Long Beach, Glendale, Long Beach, and Pasadena get $328 million. Fund operations for interim housing, rapid rehousing, yada, yada. All stuff that we know doesn't really work. San Diego, $50.9 million to fund existing emergency shelters and expand emergency shelter capacity. Those are your 3 biggest cities. You got all of LA counties just inundated. You've got LA itself, you got San Fran, you got San Diego. Sacramento has a population, but I don't think it's nearly as large. They're on a different drill, different time frame. But the numbers, governor's visit comes a day after San Fran Mayor Daniel Lurie delivered his first State of the Address, which he said city spent about $1 billion on homelessness. It's insanity. Shelter capacity, Lurie said, has increased by 40%, and encampments have decreased by 44%. Got to remember, Lurie in San Francisco, he is basically stating, you've got to be inside. You can't be sleeping on the streets, because Lurie understands that having a whole bunch of homeless people isn't conducive to having tourism or businesses come into town. It will literally push that away. We haven't worked that out here in Seattle. Our mayor is literally stopping the sweeps on homeless encampments because she's going to reimagine and rethink and try and come up with, what are we going to do here? How do we make this more equitable? You don't. You just sweep. And if you don't do that, you become that city where the people go that are being swept from elsewhere. Go to Seattle. Go to Portland. Even Portland's arresting people now. And here's where Daniel Lurie's, he's kind of toeing the line in San Fran. If someone is openly using drugs on our streets, they will get arrested and brought to the reset center, where they'll have a chance to detox and get treatment. This will allow our police officers to get back on the beat faster. So cops now have the option of taking people that are drunk or high, whacked out of their minds, to a sobering center, and then they'll have a warm handoff to treatment, which involving the police is the critical part there. You'll never see that in Portland, typically. You'll never see that in Seattle because we're so anti-police. You just defund the police. We've got a socialist mayor. She wants to, reimagine and rethink the whole sweeping the encampments because she's going to come up as a socialist. She's going to come up with a different solution that's going to work. I'm waiting. So it just literally feels like, billions and billions and billions of dollars are going out the window. And we can't really work out where all the money went. I mean, we already know that California is not going to be able to account for about $22 billion in recently spent funds. And yet we're going to spend how many billion on the, criminal illegals? We're going to spend how much total on the homeless industrial complex? How many billion are going to go into that? And then at the end of the day, still going to have a budget deficit. Going to have to spend more. Going to have to increase taxes. So cities that kowtow to their homeless population instead of having that tough love approach, you're going to end up with a bunch of cities that say, no, ixnay to that nay. We're not dealing with that. If you're out camping urban style, if you're an outdoor camper, you got one option. You can be arrested for being homeless, which, all right, okay. Or you can go into treatment, or you can go to a mental ward, or jail. Those are your options. Cities that do that, like San Francisco, got a program. Cops can take them to a sobering center. They got a warm handoff to a treatment center. That's probably what they need. But I was reading, I think it was last night, maybe this morning, that folks in these big liberal cities would rather see people die in the gutter from their drug addiction than have their civil rights violated by a homeless encampment sweep. Does that make any sense to you whatsoever? Yeah, me neither. So, podcast for days, weeks, months, years. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for being here. Bye for now.